Welcome to Dark Corner's Horror Smackdown Grand Final. It's taken 46 weeks and 62 rounds, but now we're at the final match that will determine the greatest horror film of all time. And the lineup is Godzilla vs. The Thing. No one predicted Godzilla getting here. It is the rank outsider, but it feels like it's earned a spot through a genuine re-evaluation of its merits by our voters, ignoring the dreadful sequels, watered-down remakes and Raymond Burr.
George, the tanks have been wiped out by a wall of flames.
To focus on the devastating impact of the original. The Thing, by contrast, despite being seeded at number 7, was always the one to watch. A favourite of hardcore horror fans and just plain movie lovers, a film that draws on a rich horror heritage and yet also seems, even today, new and fresh. This is a proper battle, and so we're treating it as such. For the finals, there'll be no first this film, then that one. They'll be matching each other blow for blow, and it's Godzilla getting in the first punch. While many remain unaware of how good the original film is, there is virtually no one who is unaware of Godzilla. Through countless films, Japan's biggest movie star has become an icon of cinema. Instantly recognisable all over the world. The Thing, by its nature, is no icon because it's no one shape. The spider head is pretty recognisable, but not in the same league. For that reason, it's hard to believe that it will have the longevity of Godzilla, which has lasted undiminished for over 60 years. That said, The Thing has Kurt Russell and the character of MacReady. Horror has lots of great bad guys, but very few great heroes, and MacReady is everything a horror hero should be. Reluctant, hard-edged, uncompromising, and a survivor. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes and bad decisions. He can be selfish, but these things just serve to make us identify more.
Maybe we'll just warm things up a little around here.
Akira Takarada's Ogata in Godzilla is a perfectly serviceable hero, but he's the more typical horror film hero. Honest, brave, handsome, always does the right thing.
しかし、恵美子さん。芹沢さんだって、この悲惨な最悪を救うためならば、きっと許してくれに違いありませんよ。
Little bit dull and hard to identify with. But Godzilla has an ace up its sleeve cast-wise in Takashi Shimura, a favourite of director Ishiro Honda, as well as his close friend Akira Kurosawa, and an actor who, over a career of almost 50 years, brought his trademark dignity and understated acting style to hundreds of films. Shimura can say more with a look than most actors can with a page of dialogue. The Thing has one of the finest ensemble casts in horror, but does it have anyone to equal Shimura? But Godzilla isn't the only one with a trump card to play. The Thing has Rob Bottin. However important the characters are, and however well written their stories, what people are coming to see is the monsters. Godzilla has a less is more ethos when it comes to showing off its eponymous star, driven by the ropey suit, which allows only for limited movement. The Thing reinvented what was considered possible in special effects by ignoring what had been considered possible in special effects. And today it's regarded as a touchstone of practical effects work. The strain of it may have put Bottin himself in hospital, but the results are unequivocal. Equally important is the fact that, despite this groundbreaking work, the effects are only used when necessary, never for their own sake. This isn't Avatar. They're not showing off what they can do, they're using it to service the story. Effects are all very well, but if that's the best you can say about a film, then we might as well go home now. Godzilla tackles the devastating bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and does so with extraordinary depth and impact. It is perhaps the greatest example of a genre film being used to deal with a bigger subject. Less than a decade separates Godzilla from its inspiration. Using a giant monster to represent such a raw event ought to be at best ill-judged and at worst offensive. But instead it seems cathartic, an outlet for so much the Japanese people needed to say. The Thing does an admirable job of being about more than a monster shredding people inside out. It's a great study of isolation and paranoia.
Nobody trusts anybody now.
But how can that compare to Japan coming to terms with its nuclear demons? John Carpenter already had Halloween behind him when he made The Thing, and had notable genre films still to come, including Escape from New York and In the Mouth of Madness. It's reasonable to call him a horror director. Ishiro Honda had a more diverse career, but the success of Godzilla did keep bringing him back to that well, with results that, while sporadically amusing, are ultimately lackluster. But comparing the two directors isn't the point. We can only compare their work on these two films. Honda is at his best recalling events of the near past, the burning cities, evacuating citizens, packed hospitals. These are Godzilla's most memorable and vital moments. But in some of the scenes of character interaction, he is simply recording events. Carpenter's camera is part of the tension building of The Thing, prowling through empty corridors, but he is equally at home with the tense encounters between the players.
Get me the hell! Come on, get me out of here! Come on, get me out of here!
This is where The Thing scores most highly. Its character dynamics are its core, and every line seems to heighten the situation.
I know you gentlemen have been through a lot. And when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch!
You could argue that Godzilla is about people, but The Thing is about individuals.
Anybody touches me, here we go.
While every horror film has its jump shock moments, the quiet bang school is not for the true horror aficionado. True horror films are the ones that continue to prey on your mind long after you leave the cinema. The scares that get under your skin and into your soul. In that respect, both these films score highly, though in different ways. Godzilla references real events, touching on a horror more absolute than anything any film can come close to. In Dr. Serizawa, it also gives an explicit warning for the future. Bizarrely, for a film about a giant monster, it says, "This is the world we live in. You should be afraid." The Thing eschews normal horror storytelling of letting tension build and release. It starts in tension, it ends in tension, fraying nerves throughout. It is a film that sends us away rattled and uneasy as it refuses to let us down gently at the end. On this point, you can't separate them. Both films scare. So, for now, it's a stalemate. One that only you can break with your vote. So, vote for the one you think is the best horror, the best made, the best acted. Vote for your favourite monster, your favourite character, your favourite line of dialogue. Vote for the one that scares you, that moves you, that excites you. But, above all, vote for the one you love. Because that's what film is all about.